All right, so welcome to our team training and inspiration tonight. I'm super excited to have Tricia here. She is an amazing woman. She is a mama of 6 kids. She was a top credit earner last year in the convention contest, and she went to Over Yonder Key, which was incredible. So I had an opportunity to get to know her and her husband and just really love her character, love her hard work ethic. She has so much experience, so much passion, and this business has truly changed her family's life. And part of what I asked her to share, just to kind of start out tonight, was to share her story, because I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I hear somebody's story, it just reminds me that it's possible for me to do the same thing. It reminds me that I'm capable, that no matter what challenges, difficulties, roadblocks I have, I can do it, and also that it is worth it. And so I think there's so much power in hearing the story. So she's going to share her story tonight with Plexus, how she got started, what it's done for their family. And then she's going to share with us some tips on Instagram, on consistency, and on, what to do when things get hard. And I just can't wait to sit here, take notes, and learn from you. Tricia, take it away.
Thank you, Brooke. Okay, for those of you who do not know, Brooke was just on my team page. We swapped. I was so incredibly honored. And the best thing that came out of Brooke sharing, at least so far from what I've heard, is there was an entire team below me. You know, the new Emerald group that was just started, like, hey, we can be in Maui next year. There was an entire team below me that was saying today they did not feel good enough to be in that group. They watched your live, Brooke, and the leader of it messaged me, and she said, they're all like, we're going to be Emerald. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly it. I love it. Okay, so I am so excited to be here. My name is Tricia, like Brooke said. I have 6 kids. Okay, so why I got started with Plexus, it was exactly 4 years ago. Next month, I became a preferred customer. So there was a girl, I really did not know her super well. I was following her blog, and she said she had all these health issues and that the products had helped with her pregnancy. And she actually put on Facebook like a very non-compliant post. Like, I'm sure it would never fly today, but it was talking about how pregnancy nausea. And I wrote to her and I said, we don't have a lot of money. What do you recommend? And she said, why don't you just start off with a pink drink? So I think I ordered that day. Like, I was not a supplement taker at all, okay? All I wanted to know, and this is what I tell my team, like, if you don't know a lot of information, all I wanted to know as a potential person was, does this work and will it work for me? That's all I wanted to know. And she gave me hope, and I bought from her, and I turned off my subscription one time. But other than that, you guys, I was a very faithful preferred customer. I had zero interest in the business. I made fun of the business. I found a video from convention and I called my friend and I made fun of it. All the while, our family was really, really struggling financially. So fast forward to the spring of the following year, and we started with the Triplex because we wanted to try different products. I still was not interested in the business. And then here's something else that I share with people. You guys, the difference between me being on a scale of 0 to 10 interested in the business was a 0 on April 15th. I had a call with 2 of my uplines, and they were trying to convince me to work the business, and I was a 0 out of 10, okay? 2 weeks later, I went to a 10 out of 10. All because life circumstances changed. My husband had a property management business. It completely flopped. We had about 1 month left of money left in our bank account. And my husband was like, Tricia, we need a business like yesterday, right? We need a business right now. We both believed in the products. And I was like, okay, I'll put up a post on Facebook and I'll throw a Facebook party. And I went silver. And that is how my journey began.
I just think like that is the ultimate lesson for people to learn, because I know that a lot of people like would have thought the same thing about me. Like, there's no way that she would be interested in this business. I mean, my situation was the opposite. It wasn't that we were in financial stress and we had no money. We had that, but we had no quality of life. for our family. And so I just feel like if you are always that person that's there, if you're consistent and you're trying and you're doing these Zoom calls with people that are like a 0 out of 10 or maybe like a 1 or a 2, and you're like, I don't even know if this is worth the half an hour. Like I've done a lot of calls like that with people because I just feel like I just have to put it out there. I just have to cast a vision. I just want to make sure that they know what's available to them. That's why I'm like, hey guys, we have a business event this Thursday night. If you're not inviting people to just come and check it out, see what it's all about, see that we're normal, well, pretty normal people, then then you are you're missing out on people like Tricia, that when the timing is right, they're like, you know what? I've been watching you be successful at this, or I've been watching all these people. Like, I need something and I need it now. And I'm going to do it. So tell them from that point, like what happened. You decided, and then kind of like what was your story, your timeline?
Okay. I was actually going to touch on this a little bit later, so I'm just going to start now because Brooke also asked me to talk about consistency and what consistency has meant for my business. Okay. You guys, there is no magic. Even myself, I still feel like sometimes I like look around. I'm like, so who's got the magic? Like, I'm sure someone around here's got the magic and I need to know what it is so I can build my business faster or whatever. Okay. So this just proves to you, I want to share like the rank ups sort of just to show you guys that there is no magic. Okay. So I joined, and I decided to go all in with the business. And the only thing I knew to do was to send cold messages. Okay. I watched lots of YouTube videos and I had a lot of followers on Instagram, which is a whole nother story. And I decided to just start talking to as many people as I could because I had a very, very, very like tiny warm market. Okay. Virtually to this day, 3.5 years in of working the business, almost no one from my warm market has joined me. Okay. So just to give you an idea. So I sent like 2,000 cold messages within my first like 2 months. Okay. One of those messages reached someone who lived 45 minutes from me, who had an autoimmune disorder, who asked for a sample, who went gold. She was my first level 1 gold. She signed her sister-in-law. Someone said they can't hear me. Can you hear me, Brooke? Okay. 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 But then you guys, I sat at gold for months. Okay. I kept doing, if I have one major strength, it is consistency. Okay. Like I do my IPA every single day. I used to joke with people I took off Christmas. Okay. That was the way I worked my business. And I was, silver in May, and then I went gold in October, and the following February I wrote to my sponsor and I was almost in tears, and I was like, you promised me that if I worked really hard then this would pay our bills. This is not paying our bills. We are not making $2,000 a month. I am working so hard. Like what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Right. I had set my goal that I was going to be emerald the previous December, and I was still gold. All the people that had been sponsored in December had quit on us. Like, it was just like, it didn't feel like anything was moving forward. Okay. In February, I put up the cheesiest graphic for a 7-day trial week. Like, it was so cheesy. Like, no one would ever use it today. Okay. Total stranger on Instagram wrote to me. She bought the 7-day trial. 2 days in, she wrote to me and she said, how do I sell this? And she was senior Ruby in 7 months, and she was my first level 1 emerald. Okay. I was not doing anything special, you guys. Okay. I was doing my IPA. I was just doing what I knew how to do at that point in the game. Right. So what I'm always saying is, you got to show up every day, and you've got to be committed to being a little bit better. Like, can you be a little bit better today than you were yesterday? Right. And that's just kind of because I feel like if I focus on, like, there's so much I don't know, I just get overwhelmed and it paralyzes me and I shut down. So that's what I always tell people. Like, can you be 1% better? Can you speak to your potentials with 1% more confidence today than you did yesterday? Okay. So, I go emerald. I went from senior gold to emerald in like 5 or 6 months. And then I fell backwards. Okay. Lots of different factors. We all know all the factors, right? Okay. I fell back for 8 months. The month that I went Emerald, again, total stranger, wrote to me on Instagram, didn't know her at all. She wrote to me and she said, hey, Tricia, can you send me a copy of the compensation plan? It was the first time I'd ever been asked that. I had to search for it. I was like, I don't know where it is. I sent it to her and she said, hey, I used to be part of another network marketing company, and I'm really curious what your comp plan is. She joined her first month. I think she sponsored, well, she went Fast Track Gold. She sponsored like 20 level ones. And that was my first level 1 Sapphire. Okay. So why am I telling this to you guys? I'm telling you because, and then we were in massive momentum last spring and summer. I was sick as a dog, you guys. I was pregnant with Jack. And you've got to, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of my proof that even when I was not physically able to be completely on my A game, like you've got to look at your business through eyes of faith because God is in control through it all. And when I was so sick and barely able to do my IPA every day was when I won over Yonder K. It was when I hit Sapphire totally organically, you guys. Okay. I hit Sapphire and I threw up, like literally watched my points go up and I threw up. Okay. And then that's how I hit Diamond, like just massive momentum. But it was just from doing what I knew to do every single day.
So I love this example because I think truly people are sitting around and they're like, well, what is the secret thing? Like, what is the special message I can send, or the way that I post, or what? I mean, there's got to be like a different way to do a challenge or a different way to do an event. And I almost want to hit my head against a wall because I know when people are coming to me with that, they're not actually doing the things that they need to do to grow their business, which is building relationships, reaching out to people, talking to people about Plexus. They're doing everything else under the sun that they could possibly do except for the things that really, truly grow their business. So talk to me a little bit about, like, when you say you are super consistent, do you have a routine, or do you have a, like, you know, every day I make sure I message 3 to 5 people, or every day I post something in my story? Like, what does consistency mean to you? And also, does consistency have to look exactly the same to everybody? And then third part of that is I have people that are like, well, I will consistently post something about Plexus like once a week. Like, what would you say to those people that want to do that and they want a massive result?
Okay. So this is what I do every day. These are my non-negotiables. I mostly work on Instagram, not Facebook. So that is a little bit different. Okay. Totally work your strength. Okay. If you are signing people on Facebook, please keep signing people on Facebook. Okay. Do not try to do Instagram. I have tried to do You guys, I don't sign people on Facebook. Okay. I consistently sign people on Instagram. So I'm going to work Instagram, right? Okay. I post about Plexus every single day, you guys. I tell people I built my business off of testimonies. I posted a testimony on Facebook and Instagram every single day in my first 1.5 years. I do not post a testimony every single day on Facebook anymore, but I still pretty much do on Instagram every single day besides Sunday. Okay. Either in my stories, I will do something, or as a post, I will do something on my feed. And then besides that, I just share about my life. So part of my IPA is talking to people in my stories, like literally turning the camera around, like Brooke does, like Emily does, like Christy does, right? And talking to people, because that is how people trust you. You've got to build a connection. Today I talked about kids' books that we love, right? And I feel like people are like, oh, like I love kids' books. And then they start to get to know you. And exactly what you're talking about, building the relationship. I don't have a specific number amount for sending messages. I don't. I message my new followers, I introduce myself, and we just build a connection.
Yeah. I think everybody's looking for like a specific formula, or they want to know, well, when can I transition and talk about Plexus? Like they want some magical number, and it's not about a specific number of hours or days or months. It's about connection. And you're so right. Like in your stories, in a Facebook Live, you want people to feel you and know you and trust you and like you. And if you're absent from your feed, whether it's in live video or in post, like there's no pictures of your face, you've always just got pictures of your kids or scenery or whatever, people are not going to connect with you. And so there's some questions about Instagram, and I wonder if maybe you could just give some people some tips on Instagram. And I do want to just preface this by saying that she is right. If Instagram is not your strength and you are really good at Facebook, don't feel like you have to run over to Instagram and that all of a sudden you're going to figure out everything about Instagram. I was terrible at Instagram when I started, and I just eased my way into it. Now, it's not an excuse for you to not do Instagram, but I think you would agree with me, Tricia, that the key to Instagram is being consistent, showing up, and it takes time. It's not something where you're just going to walk into Instagram and be like, here I am, come and buy Plexus from me. Like, you might have to build your audience for 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years, 5 years, but it is worth it because I think you would, like, you just heard her story. She sponsored 2 people that became jewels, total strangers on Instagram. And how long have you been on Instagram?
4 years. I became a preferred customer the same month I started building Instagram.
So 4 years she's been building Instagram. And what would be your biggest tips on Instagram or Instagram stories?
It definitely takes time. Oh my goodness, because it's all about like building yourself as a person so that people know what to expect when they come to your feed. Hashtags are really important, but you've got to first establish who you are, right? I'm a homeschool mom. I talk about minimalism. I talk about decorating, and then you got to put it in your profile, at least I do, so that everybody knows who you are, right? My Instagram name is Clean House with Kids.
Yep.
And then just talking to people every day and making all your posts around that same theme. They say like with your brand, like 3 to 5 things. It's so like, I feel like it's important on Facebook. It is so much more important on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, you have a short period of time to catch people's attention and for them to see what you're really about. And so a lot of times we'll talk about storylines. What are your storylines? What are the things that you're passionate about? I think if people went to my Instagram or watched my stories, they would know I'm passionate about fitness and working out. I'm passionate about marriage and family, and self-esteem and building women up, like empowerment. Like those would probably be my 3 storylines, right, Tricia? Would you say that?
Yep,
like
for sure.
That? And so if you're all over the place and you're a squirrel, like people aren't going to really know what you're all about. And the other thing that people tend to do, which I think maybe you could talk about a little bit, is the comparison game and trying to look like somebody else's feed. What would you say to those people?
You are not trying to be, I just heard Jessica Hapley say this. You're not trying to be the best version of Jessica Hapley. You're not trying to be the best version of Brooke Hemingway. You're trying to be the best version of yourself. And people aren't going to follow a copycat. They want to follow the real, authentic you.
Yes, it's like they can smell that crap a mile away. Like if I tried to talk about minimalism and decorating, everybody would know that is not me, but that's Tricia, and that's awesome. And there's room in the space for everybody. That I feel like is another important point that I feel like you could talk about is so many people feel like there's not room in this space for me. There's already enough successful people, or there's already people on Instagram or Facebook that do that. There's not enough space for me. And what would you say to that?
Oh my goodness. You ask really tough questions. I definitely have felt this way. I definitely have. But I think that if you actually look through someone's feed, like even if you find someone who like seems totally identical to you, they do not have the strengths that you have. They don't have the house you have. They don't have the kids you have. They don't have the marriage you have, right? There are differences. I think on the outside, it might look similar, but then if you dive in, like everybody has their own thing and their own strengths that they bring. So
yeah, it's so true. And so I guess what I would encourage you guys to do tonight is sit down and make a list of what are my strengths, what's unique about me. And if I were to write a story or have some storylines, what would be my 3 to 5 storylines? What are the things that I love? Do I love gardening? Do I love dressing in matching outfits with my daughters? Like, what are the things that I love? Because there's people on Instagram I can think of that like that is their thing. I follow this girl, Jane Crosley. Maybe you follow her too. But she has like the most adorable family and they all match all the time. And it sort of like makes me want to vomit. But at the same time, I'm like, that is so cute. Like that I follow her and I think she seems so sweet and I don't even know her. And so you just need to write down those things that make you unique and what you are passionate about. So earlier, Julia says, should those three things always exclude health, coaching, and Plexus? What would you say?
Yeah. Like okay. So the whole thing with adding value, right? Instagram, it's so important that you're adding value. You have to, people are not going to come back to your feed if they see that you're selling something. They have to come to your feed, take something and walk away with it. Right? And they're not going to walk away with, oh, she sells Plexus. Yay. I'm going to come back for more. Right? People don't want that. They want like practical tips, like recipes or something that adds value to them. Something funny, something inspiring, something encouraging, right?
Right. So it could be like a little funny quirk that you have. It doesn't have to be a recipe, or it could be you love doing hair and you show a way to do your hair, or you're really good at baking, or maybe you're not like I'm not any of those crafty things, guys. But what I like to do is like inspire and give people something to think about. Maybe that's you. It doesn't have to be something crafty. I think a lot of us are trying to like conjure up a skill or a craft or something that we like can give away as far as like adding value, but you being you and inspiring the way that you do is adding value. And so yes, I think when you're sharing testimonials, Tricia, like you're sharing testimonials, but you're not doing it with a big pitch for Plexus.
Right.
You are sharing, I see on your feed before and afters. I see that in your feed or in your story. And I just wanted to say, when you said that you post every single day, okay? I remember when I started, guys. And when I hear somebody say, oh, well, my pace is really, I'm just going to post like twice a week or, 3 times a week. When I started, I heard that Jules posted 2 to 3 times a day consistently on Facebook. And so guess what? I went from 0 to 60 very quickly. I was like, well, if that's what Jules are doing and that's what got them to Jules status, I probably should listen to the people that are like 500 steps ahead of me. And so I posted 1 to 3 times a day, not always about Plexus. That was for Facebook. But for Instagram, that would be like posting every day, putting something in your story or something in your feed. If you are serious and you want to build a business, you're not going to be someone that's posting once a day. Or once a week. It's very few people that can do that and have enough influence and grow a strong business. There's a question here. Do you post one in the feed and then everything else in the stories? If you're doing twice a day, Kara asks.
Okay, so if I post, like Brooke mentioned, a before and after, guys, if you go to my feed, again, it's Clean House with Kids. Okay, there's one before and after there. Okay, within 24 hours, I will take it down. First, I will copy paste the wording and grab the picture. I will put both of those in my stories, and then I will take down the picture. So that if someone goes to my feed 24 hours from now, they are just going to see my life. They are not even going to know that I sell anything. Okay. And then 24 hours later, I will put up another before and after picture. My stories go all day long. They go all day long. I do tutorials. I do just like, hey, here are my kids running around my yard. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then I mix Plexus in.
Yeah, exactly. You mix it into your stories. And I think that that's brilliant, actually. And I will often coach people and tell them, if I'm looking, for example, at their feed, their Instagram or their Facebook feed, I will be like, if I went to your page, I probably wouldn't follow you because the first 3 posts I see all have to do with Plexus. And that's a turnoff for people. And so you can have it there, but I think it's brilliant to delete it and then put a different one up. And we have endless testimonials that you can share. And anytime you get around a team member that has a testimonial, we've gotten in the habit at our retreats of everybody taking pictures with each other. So that for the testimonial, you could literally, if I was with you, Tricia, I could take a picture with you and my face is still in my feed and I'm sharing your story as my friend. So anytime you have that opportunity, say for example, leaders retreat coming up, you get to know people, you get connected with them, you take a ton of pictures with people, and then you can put stories in your feed or in your story that don't just look like you're selling a product. So I love that tip for people. So I really took that to heart. And I just think, like we've talked about, consistency and being serious about building a business requires regular, consistent action. Like she said, you cannot expect to build a 6 or 7 figure business if you're just sort of casually putting something out there every once in a while. People aren't going to take you seriously. They're not going to ever see you post about it. It's not going to be something that they're attracted to. So Kara says, do you keep the post wording but switch the picture after 24 hours? I think you might be confused, Kara. I think what you're saying, Tricia, is that you take the wording and the same picture and you move it into your story.
Yes.
But you delete it from your feed.
Yes. Right.
Do you ever reuse testimonials?
Yeah. Or certain wording, like 15 signs that your body needs to go through detox. I've used that several times.
Yeah. So you probably have notes saved on your phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like this whole library of testimonials or the same basic stuff, but you put it up with a different picture.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So this is what we call repurposing content. Do you repurpose content very much?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Can you explain to them what that means? Because that might be like a social media term that they're not familiar with. Like, what do you mean repurposing content?
I'm trying to think of a good example. Well, I mean, like the example that I just gave about like what are signs that your body needs to go through a detox? So new people are constantly supposed to be going through your feed, right? 5 people today should be seeing your stuff that did not see it yesterday. So you want to constantly be adding new people on your feed, right? Whether it's giveaways or writing to people or however it is, right? And the algorithm is so wonky, they're probably not even going to see your post anyway. So get up a new picture. They're going to say, hey, it's new content. And then they could see the same wording, but they're not even going to think about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. And that's a big hurdle that a lot of people have to overcome. They feel like, I've already said that before. I've said that 5 times, 10 times. I'm so sick of hearing myself. I don't want to irritate people or annoy people. But I know that you are an expert with Instagram and social media. And so the facts are that, in your feed, maybe 5 to 10% of people that follow you.
Right.
Is that about accurate?
It's really small. It's really small.
If even that. So Tricia has about 54,000 followers. So you probably have a larger percentage of people that see you because you have a larger following. And so those of you guys that have a smaller following, less activity, people are going to see your stuff even less. And so you just have to take that thought that you've been wearing for a long time, like, oh, I don't want to annoy people. I've already said this. You've got to take that off, like I said in that video, right, Tricia? Like, you've got to take that old thought off and you've got to put a new thought on. Because if you are stuck thinking that you've said it over and over and over again, you probably need to say it 100 more times. Talking about the business, talking about the products, all of those things, right? So Tiffany said, how often are you posting testimonials? She said once a day, Tiffany, either in her stories or on her feed, and she deletes it if it's on her feed after 24 hours and moves it into her story, and then we'll post a different story either in her feed or on her Instagram story. Cindy, I guess I need to learn how to do Instagram. But the thing is, you're not going to learn overnight. Right? When they say I need to learn how to do Instagram so for somebody that's brand new, what would you say would be a great place for them to start?
Okay. First, you got to figure out who you are and what you're going to post about. Then I would probably figure out how to take some sort of decent photos. I take all my photos with my iPhone. You guys, your photos are everything on Instagram. And I buy a preset or a filter. You can even buy them on Etsy. Okay. It's basically just it's just that your photos look better, right? Because Instagram is so visual. And then I would start posting 1 to 3 times a day on your feed and do your stories and use hashtags on every single post. So here's a little tip. Whenever you put up a post, let's say I'm going to put up a post about homeschooling. Then as soon as I put the post up, I will go to besthashtags.com. Okay. And I will type in the word homeschool. It will generate the most popular 30 hashtags for homeschool right now. And then I will put those in, yes, Lightroom. Exactly. That's what I use. Then I'll put those hashtags in. Okay. And that's another way that people are going to find you on Instagram is through hashtags. And it's also a way, it's like a key into both worlds. They can find you and you can find other people. So whether it is the target dollar spot, like last Valentine's Day, I was like, I gotta find new people. I gotta find new people. So I decorated with Valentine's Day stuff from the Target dollar spot. Then I went to Target dollar spot hashtag, and I messaged people who had the same Valentine's Day stuff that I did. And I was just like, hey, I'm Tricia. I see we've got the same decor. We both love the Target dollar spot. So yeah, it's a way for people to find you and you to find other people.
Yeah, that's what hashtags were designed for, so that you can find people and they can find you. And if you're not using them, you're missing out. So you can use up to 30 hashtags in a post, and you can put them in the comments. It doesn't have to be like underneath all your written stuff. And what you can do to make it easier is you could take those hashtags, say you have like, 5 to 7 different things. Like you can have saved sets of hashtags in the notes on your phone. So if you're going to post something about homeschooling, maybe you have 2 or 3 different sets of hashtags you like to use for homeschooling. I don't know if this is what you do, Tricia, but you probably use a lot of the same hashtags.
I do. Yeah.
You'll mix them up a little bit. You don't always want to use exactly the same hashtag, but it's not like every single time you've got to go individually find 30 hashtags. A shortcut would be to find them, create groupings of them, and copy and paste the grouping into the notes, right? Or not the notes, into the comments. So Lightroom. So basically what she was saying about presets is Instagram on your feed, it's just more attractive if it looks uniform. And it's not about being fake, because I used to be like, oh my gosh, it's just about being fake. And like, I'm so tired of seeing like everybody look perfect and all of that stuff. But you have to admit that when something is visually pleasing, it draws you in. And you want to draw people in. And then in your story is really more of your real life. You can't necessarily use the same Lightroom filter in your story. And maybe you're just getting up out of bed and you're just finishing exercising. And so people want to see the real. But to have something visually pleasing is just to get people in the door, to want to even look at what you have to offer. It's like serving people what they want, but then giving them what they need. Right? You have to give them what they want initially and then show them what they need. The app for hashtags, what's a website? besthashtags.com, right?
Yeah.
And then somebody says, how are you building relationships with the strangers who reach out to you to build the business?
Okay, so whenever someone writes to me about the products, I always turn it back around. I'm like, hey, tell me about your health goals. So it's pretty much the same thing when they ask me about the business. I say, I would love to hear more about you. What are your goals? And then the other videos that I send them are actually the Brooke and Emily 5 Parts to Silver. I say, here's a quick video series on how, if you wanted to get started with the business, that's literally the one I send. Or in the back office, you guys, send, share, invite. Send, share, invite. It's so good, okay? The other video I send is the Plexus Ambassador Stories. There are only like 4 or 5 videos there in that little section of the ones you can send. It's really good. Like sometimes you just get a gut feeling. Like, do people want, okay, this is how I could actually launch my business, then I'll send Brooke and Emily's. Or do they actually just want to get more of a feel for Plexus, then I'll send the other one. And then I just say, tell me more about yourself.
Yep. So basically you're a really good question asker and you listen. And you listen for a door to be kind of cracked open, that you can just open a little bit more to present to them how this could be a solution to what they're struggling with.
Yeah.
Whether they're really interested in the business or they end up just being interested in the products, right? And so Susie, she's not really reinventing the wheel. She's just doing the steps that work, which is send, share, invite, sharing a video or a video series. And also, I think the key ingredient here is you are turning it around and you are bringing the business into the conversation. Would you say like 90% of the time, 100% of the time? Like, are you always presenting the business to everybody that asks you about Plexus?
Yes. Every single person.
Yes. Every single person. And I think for a lot of you listening, that's like kind of mind blowing. You're like, oh my gosh, How do they do that? They already told me they just are interested in the products. If somebody tells you that, what do you say to that?
Well, this is how I bring the business into it. So I've tried so many different wording. You know, you're always trying to find the magic wording, right? I've tried the, how do I say it? If you pay the if you pay the $39.95, you get access to wholesale pricing, this, that, and the other thing, right? It's like special promotions all year long, and your own referral links that you could offset the cost of your products. I can say that. Or I say the accountability partner wording. I've tried that. But every single conversation I have before someone signs, I tell them they can get their products paid for, they can make money, they can have an accountability partner. It's just part of the discussion.
Yeah, it just becomes a normal part of your discussion. There's no like sweaty pits anymore. At this point, you just talk about it. It's like the 4 people I signed up this month, every single person we've talked about sharing. All of them are trying to go silver, some harder than others, but it's a part of the discussion because it's not either or. It's not the products or the business. It's the product and the business because we have a great opportunity either way. So I think when people look at your journey and they look at like, oh my gosh, she won all these prizes. She, had this massive growth. She has 53,000 Instagram followers. I could never be like her. Like I could never have what she has. And it's probably been really easy for her because she has 53,000 Instagram followers. Can you give us a little peek behind the curtain? Has it been easy for you? Because, a lot of times people try to discredit people's success, right? They're like, oh, she has 53 Instagram followers. That makes everything she says null and void. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey? Has it been totally easy?
No. Okay, so number one, the reason why I started the Instagram, you guys, because we had no money, okay? I call 2015, 2016 our year of tears. I had 2 miscarriages back to back, and we had no money. So I got this great idea that I would start earning money. So Matt was trying to earn money. I was going to earn money too. So I decided to go to Goodwill 3 times a week and fix up furniture, homeschooling my kids in the garage, waking up at 4 a.m. and going to bed at 10 p.m. Okay. And I was doing all these before and afters with furniture. And I was like, hey, maybe people on social media would be interested in seeing my before and afters. My pictures were awful. Okay. My painting was okay. My pictures were terrible. Okay. My phone was awful. We didn't have the money for me to buy a new phone. That is how my Instagram was born. Okay. And in the back of my mind, I thought to myself, I wonder if one day I can make money from my Instagram. And so I was very, very tired every afternoon because I wasn't taking Plexus, right? So every single afternoon from 1 to 3, pre-Plexus, you guys, I was on my phone, sitting on my couch, on my phone, drinking coffee because I was so exhausted. And I was liking and commenting on people's Instagram accounts trying to grow my Instagram. And I would find big accounts and I would message them and I would like their posts until they took notice of me. I would comment on every single one of their posts until they noticed me and followed me back. And that is how I got to 14,000, which is when then I joined Plexus. It's not been easy, you guys. The algorithms changed multiple times. My business hasn't been easy. There is so much. I'll give you 2 examples. I already gave you the example of Sapphire and me throwing up, okay? The week that I heard about me winning Over Yonder K was a horrible week, okay? I got the call that I had won Over Yonder, and I was like elbows on my face, crying my eyes out because of terrible, terrible, terrible stuff happening. You guys, I think people just don't know the behind the scenes. The first time I was on the leaders board, you guys, everyone was like, oh my word, this is so amazing. And my thought was, when I was on the business building one, I thought to myself, you guys want to be on the business building board. You would not want to have the weeks that I've had. And I think that people don't realize the drama. People don't realize the relationships. Like, network marketing can be really hard, and you have to get up every single day and show up for yourself and your team. And I've cried over it. I'm like, I'm sick of showing up. You know what I mean? I'm tired of being the only person on my team who feels like doing anything today. So Yeah, that's a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It is not easy.
So why do you do it then?
That's a great question. Okay, so when we started, so May 2016, you guys, we were a family with 4 little kids making an average of $750 a month. Okay.
Wow.
My goal was that I could buy clothes at Old Navy for my kids.
Wow.
That was my goal. I was like, if I could walk into Old Navy and pay for it and walk out, then like all of our problems would be gone. Right. And that totally keeps me going. I feel like a feeling of gratitude, knowing that I don't want this just to be my story. I want to find people who need this as much as we needed this. Like, that's my passion. But I love the products, but my passion, I feel like, is really for the business because it changed our lives so dramatically.
And you can walk into Old Navy now.
Yes.
You can buy the clothes that your kids need, and you can walk out of there, and it doesn't have to be on the $1.99 rack. It could be the full price item. However, I'm guessing you're a bargain shopper anyway. But you have the freedom now to do that, and that has changed your life in such a massive way, and that motivates you. And your love for other people and wanting to see other people have that same opportunity keeps you going because you understand it's not just about you. It's about so much more than you. And so earlier today, just to wrap this up, I went live on your page and you asked me to speak to the people that said they wanted to be emerald next year. I would love for you to just kind of wrap this up for us and speak to all the silvers and golds and senior golds and rubies and senior rubies who want to be in Hawaii next year. Maybe they're doubting themselves. Maybe they just don't know how that's even possible. Can you speak to them?
2 things. Number 1, you've got to continue growing. You have to continue growing. Okay. Over the past year, my points have not been great. I've been doing a lot of yo-yoing over the past 2 months. My mental space has not been great sometimes. Even when everyone went to Maui, I didn't go to Maui. I earned the trips, but we couldn't go. I had to like stay off social media because it was just getting to me. Okay. So I'm telling you this because you will never reach a rank where you're better than that. You won't, like, I feel like the head trash is always going to be there. The decision is what you're going to do with it. So whether it is an extra podcast or buying another book and making sure that you are reading 10 minutes of a book every single day, listening to a podcast every single day, right? You have to keep figuring out solutions and wrestling with things to become better, to be 1% better today than you were yesterday, right? If you struggle with relating to people or like, I don't know, you've got to figure that out. Like have your people take the Enneagram test, try to get on their level, right? Figure out ways to make your people succeed. Figure out how to get more silvers on your team. So yeah, personally grow and then show up every single day. You have to show up every single day. You guys work Saturdays. Work 1 really, really intentional hour on Saturdays every single day until next July. Just do it. Like there's no reason not to.
Yes, that I love that because I feel like people can, you know, you can listen to some podcasts that like James Wedmore. I don't know if you ever listen to his Mind Your Business. He's got a podcast about like why working harder is not the solution to your success. And that is a yes and a no. It's a yes because a lot of you are super busy working on the wrong things. And you're making yourself busy doing work that's not moving the needle. Whereas if you took an hour or 2 or 3 every Saturday, I loved working Saturdays when I was growing my business in the beginning. I don't work as much on Saturdays anymore, but I loved it because it was a different day of the week. My kids were entertained and playing with each other. My husband was often home at that point, and I could really bust out a lot of quality work in a few hours. And if you're sitting back just wanting to manifest things, that's not how it works. You have to be in it. You have to be working it, but you need to be doing the right activities. And that's where the consistency comes in that Tricia is saying. It's like consistent, but consistent with the right activities. consistent, but not avoiding the real things that you need to be doing. And if there's something you need to learn how to do, like Rachel Hollis says, in this day and age, if you say you don't know how to do something, I ain't got nothing for you, because you got a Google search bar, you got a YouTube search bar, you got a Facebook search bar, you got a great team, you got great corporate tools. Like, if you don't know how to do something, go out and find out how to do it. And you will be successful, and you will be the means to helping people like Tricia change their life, you changing your life. Like, the opportunity is absolutely incredible. And you're going to ride a roller coaster. You're going to be up and down. But we so appreciate you and your time and your tips. And I really appreciate, I don't know about you guys, but I appreciate her realness and just like giving it to us without the fluff. Do you guys have any other questions for Tricia before we wrap this up? Anything else you want to say, Tricia?
It's not easy, but it's worth it.
Amen.
And I don't ever want people to say, oh, you know, this is just fun all the time and it's so easy. And because it's not, and you set yourself up for really unrealistic expectations. But just go into it with grit, with knowing that it's going to be hard, but it's going to be okay. You're going to become a better person. Your team's going to become stronger, and it's worth it.
Yep. Grit, gratitude, and growth, right?
I love that.
Three G's. You have grit, you have gratitude at your core, and you're committed to growth. Those three things make you a diamond. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We love you. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks.